Hey, what's going on, y'all? You already know who it is. I don't have no opening tagline. I was told by Justin Hunt that I needed maybe a closing one, but I need an opening one too, right? I don't have no taglines. I'm just telling y'all stories for right now that I feel, how you gonna know if I don't tell them, right? So, today's little math. What I'm gonna tell a story about today, and my apologies. I've also heard from people like, oh, you're thinking, you're you know, I could tell, in the beginning you kind of didn't know. I know this is a real conversation. This is like a recollection amongst friends, right? So, am I gonna be searching? Yeah, hell yeah. I want to have the right memory. I want to remember it as it happened. I didn't want to go and just do notes or something like that. Maybe that's the level I'll get to, but I'm not there yet. Right now, I just want to kind of tell y'all the stories and see what you feel about them. So today is gonna be quick, just for consistency. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be quick, but today I'm gonna tell you the story about when Snoop Dogg was about to fire on me. He looked. Now I can't say 100% if a person was about to do something that they didn't do, but I know LA. I'm from LA. I know the gangsters, I know the looks, I know the faces. He had the look that he just wanted to fire on your boy. I'm like, oh, Snoop was about it. So let me take it back to the beginning of the story. So at this time, what year is this? I'll go back on the year. If the year comes to me, I tell you. Another thing, I am not I remember the year this album dropped. I remember this year when this. I remember the year I graduated, the year I was born, and on some days I remember the year my son was born. But you know how that goes. So, anyway, I'm in contact with my boy Ant Marshall. Ant Marshall, if you don't know him, he does an event, legendary New York event called Lyricist Lounge, right? So he does Lyricist Lounge. At this point, Lyricist Lounge is going on their 20th anniversary. In New York, this is a staple. This is the West Coast version, the East Coast version of, like, we have Project Bloat out here, Open Mic Workshop. This was Project Bloat is more of like a school setting. Like, although you're not at a school, there's eras, there's damn near a yearbook that comes out that has everybody who's coming in. So you know everybody kind of by the era. Lyricist Lounge was from New York, like a classic open mic as well, but they had showcases. They had, Raekwon, Mos Def. They put out tapes and everything, right? So I'm talking to Ant Marshall, and Ant Marshall is one of them dudes. He's getting it done. He's West Coast, East Coast, down south. He's getting it done. I've done plenty of work with Ant. That's my brother. He's like just a thinker. He's just an advanced thinker, and he acts on what he thinks, and he turns it into business. And this is his event with my guy Danny Castro. Danny Castro, the other part of Lyricist Lounge. So he contacts me. He's like, "Yeah, man, I think I want to bring Lyricist Lounge to LA." I'm like, "Okay, for an anniversary, an East Coast showcase with a West Coast anniversary date is crazy." So I'm like, I'm with it. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm throwing and selling out all the venues that we signed up for. So I know this is going to go good. So he ends up deciding we should have it at the Novo. If you know where the Novo, if you heard of the Novo is in the, at that time called the Staples Center. Now it's the Crypto Arena. And it's a dope venue. Matter of fact, and understanding of music and music culture and concert culture, because they're not tripping on the stuff. You get to some of these venues and they tripping off of everything that the crowd would naturally do. It's not a good place for hip hop. So we planned this out. We got an amazing bill. So really mixed. We had who do we have? We had my boy. So let me see. We had Black Star, Most Def and the dude in the group with him. We had, I believe we had Freestyle Fellowship, if you remember them from my last story. We'll talk about the response to the last story, but anyway. Shout out to Juke for sending me the clip for the last story. So we had Freestyle Fellowship, we had Pac Div, we had Medusa, we had, what is my partner's name? He's now the DJ for LL, and we've been homies forever, and I'm just having a brain fart. But anyway, it'll come to my mind. Dang, my bad, apologies, because I do know. So the bill is cool. So at this point, we're looking for a host. The bill is building out. There's a couple of more groups that were on there. Now I'm preoccupied with trying to remember the homie's name. He also produced this song with AC Alone and Mystic. If you're in the comments, say his name, shout you out, and help me out. So we're setting up the lineup. The lineup is cool. The tickets are already selling. So now that we on the road, we like, man, Ant hits me up. He like, yeah, we need a host. I'm like, okay, who would you want to get as a host? You know? So he's like, we throwing out names. One of the names, like Meta World Peace at that time, he was playing for the Lakers. You know, he's a big New York hip hop head. He's got, I don't know if you remember his mixtape. His mixtape was low-key fire. At that time, he's one of the best basketball rap project makers. I want to call him a rapper, but he definitely had a good rap project. So we getting ready to sell out the venue, and we throwing around who should be the host. And as I'm pursuing the host, one of the people that we randomly are like, let's get Snoop. Snoop appreciates this type of hip hop, even though he's from the more gangster sector of hip hop. If you're from LA, you're gonna remember Snoop at The Good Life. You're gonna remember Snoop as a local rapper first. So that's why we're so proud of him. If you ever wonder, it's like, nah, we know LA is really big about knowing where people came from, roots, tracking their TRW, knowing their background. So knowing that he came from, you know, the underground up to be the biggest rapper in the world is something we are proud of. So shout out to Snoop. But so we get on Snoop. Bam. I pride myself on being able to get in contact with whoever. If we got the budget or we got the plan that can make it work, I will talk to that person. I'll talk to the person next to him. I'll talk to their cousin. By the time I talk to them, they're going to be like, dude, they're going to be annoyed. So, how did I get Snoop? So I'm talking to different people that I know that know Snoop. I think I hesitated to ask Bad Luck just because I think people try to exhaust the like Bad Luck to get you the Snoop thing. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to call Luck. Who should I call? So I end up calling Don Jaguar, Earl's Grill on Crenshaw. And he's like, bet, my boy is going to come over here. His name is Big D. He's like, come meet with Big D. Tell him what you got going on. He'll hook you up. Boom. I'm like, all right, cool. So I come up to the restaurant, go to Earl's Grill. This is when they were on Exposition in Crenshaw. If you don't know about Earl's Grill, you need to just educate yourself. If you ever plan to come to LA, they got a new location on Venice, so check them out. I go meet with Earl. We call him Earl too, but it's Don Jaguar, Dwayne, whatever. So we go meet with him. Big D comes. We talk. We have lunch, whatever. And he's like, tomorrow come up to the park we have in. I think they were at Crenshaw, if I'm not mistaken. Come up to Crenshaw and we having the Snoop League, a game. Snoop will be there. I'll introduce you to you. You do your thing. We good. I'm like, all right, bet, damn. So I make sure I get there on time. I make sure I'm like just ready to just chop at him, make it brief. I understand you are here coaching a whole game. This wasn't part of your program, but I got to make my thing happen. So I get there, I'm waiting. I see a couple of people, we talking. They're like, yeah, you waiting to talk to Snoop? I'm like, yeah, at some point. I'm like, yeah, nah, he cool. This wouldn't be my first time meeting him, but this would be my first time needing them. Two different. It might as well be your first time meeting them if you already know that you need something and you don't know them like that. So I pull up on him, like, what's up? Big G introduces us. He's like, okay, what's up, guys? You know, good to meet you, boom, boom. And then he like, I give him my spiel. Yeah, man, we got this dope. You heard of Lyricist Lounge? Yeah, I know about Lyricist Lounge. Okay, cool. We having a show. It's a 20-year anniversary. We at the Novo. We know you a real hip hop head. I think it'd be a really dope addition to get you to come through. What you think? He's like, who on the bill? I said, Black Star. He's like, okay, all right. I'm like, Freestyle Fellowship. He's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, we got Freestyle Fellowship. He was like, Joopty whoopty. And this really, if y'all don't think he says this stuff, I don't know if I knew he really says the stuff like how it feels on the record and on video, but I'm telling you, Joopty whoopty, Mike and Neezy, PC Weezy, AC Wacy. Oh, hell yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. You interested in Weezy? Like, yeah. I'm like, so at this point, I know, like, that's all I wanted to do is to be able to get you out of your mouth, Snoop D-O-double-G, to say you interested. Because I can go to another route to make it happen. You see what I'm saying? I can get to your managers. I can get to whoever else who's the person who makes it happen. And let me just pause right here on some business management stuff for people who watch this, who are producers, managers, tour managers, creatives who create things that need other people to get involved. Two things. One, you have to shoot your shot. You have to shoot your shot. You can't say no for them. You got to have yes in your mind, and then when you get to them, you got to let them say no a couple of times, maybe, right? And then two, have a reasonable goal. Get the reasonable goal done, and then get to your ultimate goal with that person. Because if you think you're going to catch somebody in the middle of doing something else and then lock in some business, that's slam to none, zip zero, stingy with De Niro. It's not going to happen on average. And if it does happen, it may not be solid. They may not follow through. And it don't mean that they're not genuinely interested or like a person of their word. It's just you got them in a predicament. You put them in a position where you kind of baiting them in at a time where it's like, yeah, I want to mess with that, but just not the time, right? But I'm not going to say no to it, man. But it just puts unnecessary pressure on the person, the situation, and the ask. So just know when enough is enough. Know when you got far enough. Sometimes you're going to, at the end, you may not get it still, but the relationship is not burnt. They might even see you and be like, damn, I was supposed to work with him. I didn't follow through what we're going to do this time, and have some really deserved urgency toward your task. So just respect other people's time and don't try to get the final close. I know it's always be closing. ABC always be closing. But be en route to closing. Give yourself a good setup and then bam. So anyway, at this point, I've heard enough, right? Back to the story. I've heard enough. I'm like, okay, cool. You want to do it. You're down to do it. You're familiar. I know you know the event. I told you the date. Never going to ever rely on an artist to remember the date. I'm just telling you, bro. Boom, tell him. This where it get tricky. So I'm like, okay, let me be the one to end this. I've taken up his time. I'm going to make sure I'm out of it first. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, all right, appreciate you, man. From here on out, you want me to just lock it in with management? You know, I can lock that in without you from here on out. He's like, oh, yeah. He's starting to say, yeah. And then I say, yeah, I could just call Slant another time. He's like, well, when I say his whole energy switched from, I'm listening to you, but I got a whole football game going on, It wasn't going on at the moment. He was in between. I don't think he'd do that. But he had a moment, but there were a lot going on. He's still Snoop at the Snoop Dogg League, right? So, I got his immediate, like, what? I said, Slant Eyes, you want me to just contact him? Now he's starting to frown. What? What you say? I said, and I'm reading them. I'm from the hood too. I'm not gonna not read you, right? So I'm reading them, and I'm like, he is offended on behalf of his boy. You offended. So I'm reading the face, and he's like, yeah, what you say? And I don't remember if he said cuz or not right there, but he definitely was like, his whole energy was like enemy alert. Like he was looking at me like, oh nigga, I'm not fucking with you. I got a problem with you. Big D, why you bring this dude? Like it was just, you could tell the unwinding of cool was happening right in front of my face. So I'm like, wait, Ted is your manager, right? Now, here's a little where you can get where the anger. Ted is Asian. Can't tell you which Asian he is, but he is clearly an Asian man, right? So he's offended for his friend. He's offended for his manager, his partner. You know what I mean? So he's like trying to get to the bottom of this, because now it's like, oh man, what do I do to this other brother who's over here just dissing somebody that I'm clearly working with every day? I'm like, yo, wait a minute. I'm like, Ted, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you don't know Ted is a rapper? He's like, what? No. Now he opened up in that whole little charismatic, what? No, what? I'm like, yeah, man. Slant is a rapper. His name is Slant Eyes. At least he was a rapper, and his group is Onomatopoeia. They from the globe. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, he'll tell you he rap. He's like, nah, I didn't know Ted rap. Ted Chung, I think. Which I think may make him Chinese. I don't know. But he's like, now he's looking like kind of tickled and like relieved, because he was like, nigga, this about to go bad. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, Ted, he's a rapper. Slant Eyes, Onomatopoeia, dope rapper. He's in a group with a guy named Pazuzu Watts and a young lady named Vixen. He's like, oh no, I got to talk to him. Oh, we all laughed for a minute. The tension dropped, and we got back on course. He was like, okay, well, yeah, let him know, and then we'll go from there. You know, if I'm available, I'm with it. And long story long, the ending that never come. That was the fun part though, because let me just say, I've met a lot of these rappers who's gangster rappers who, when you see them, it's like meeting the goddamn the librarian's son. You know how the librarian's son be timid as hell? He look like she's shushing at home. He don't have no freedom to do nothing. These dudes be, I mean, not all of them, but I've met some that are like big barkers, and then when you see them in person, they measuring your size, they trying to measure your threat in this very timid way. And when the thing happens, that usually, if you have familiar with like gangsters or anybody who's aggressive, right? Certain cues happen and they just boom, 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 boom. It's not even like you. It's just, you say that, this is the response, it's in motion. Unless you can quell that storm, you're fucked, right? And he hit all the cues. I got it. If I don't give him no props, he hit all the cues of like, one, that's my dog, you ain't gonna do that. Two, what is going on here? Because I'm really genuinely 0 to 60 on you that fast. And then three, the recognition of all the hip hop stuff too. For a hip hop dude, that was gold, because I'm like, when you see guys like him, like Hove, like I've been with AC and seen Hove, and he'd be like, oh shoot. You know what I mean? To know that they get all the way to the pinnacle of this thing, the summit of this thing, and they still remember all the fond memories of the building up of it, and how they got here, and what they thought was dope at other points in their life, super dope. So I do applaud Snoop for that, and for having the G energy in the moment where it's like, yeah, this is when you kind of do got to do that. So, long story short, again, he didn't fire on me. He didn't, make that attempt. It ended up being cool. He also didn't host the event, if you're wondering about that. He didn't host the event. The days didn't align. I did talk to Ted. It could have happened. If it would have happened, epic. But it could have happened. Didn't happen. But dope show. The show was amazing. Everybody kills it. We also had DJ Newmark, and at this time he was doing the whole little stuffed animals and toys on the thing. So it was an amazing show. Man, shout out to Aunt Marshall for allowing me to get in there and help hook it up. And Danny Castro. Shout out to the Novo for letting us get in there. You know what I mean? And letting us have the show that we want to have and have the energy we want to have. Because I'll tell you this. We're sitting there in the crowd. Is this the show where Pac did one of the members jumped off stage and beat somebody up in the crowd? I gotta reference that and come back to y'all because I believe one of the guys jumped out the crowd and beat somebody up and then jumped back on stage and finished the show. And the Novo didn't make us shut down. They also didn't make us shut down when the first weed cloud goes up. If you're a promoter, I'm about to end this, but if you're a promoter, sit here for a second. Know whether they allow weed in the venue and then manage it accordingly. Don't mean you don't gotta smoke, but just understand because I was sitting there watching the crowd with the head security and the first cloud went up from the middle of the crowd. And I looked at him, I'm like, that's gonna be a problem? And he's like, man, the rock shows are even worse. I was like, bet. And it was like the crowd heard him because it was just pow, 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 pow. Backstage, London. London fog, my youth. So anyway, I'll come back and tell the rest of that story. That was a crazy day. I also feel that's the last day where Talib Kweli and the Blow were on good terms. Oh man, that's a whole. If you watch that blow up online, I probably should tell that story since I'm the only person who was there on day one that wasn't part of it. But yeah, man, tales from the tours, man. If you're a tour manager, if you're a hip hop fan, if you just can appreciate people, hopefully you enjoy these stories because I got a million of them. I'm not gonna tell a million of them, but these rappers crazy, man. These rappers crazy, man. One love.